So Adele hosted SNL, and it made her big return to the U.S. for what seems to be her first appearance in a long time doing an actual gig besides just tabloid fodder. And I wanted to get into what happened during SNL, from the exciting news to the kind of bummer news, and also what it could mean for her career in the very near future. So if you're interested to hear what happened with Adele's appearance, make sure to keep watching. And before we get on with the video, if you are not subscribed and have not turned on post notifications either on YouTube or on Rumble, make sure to do that by hitting the subscribe button or ringing the bell on YouTube to turn on post notifications. And if at any point you like what you hear during this video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up on YouTube or a rumble on Rumble, either above or below this video. And if you have any thoughts, make sure to comment as you're watching this video and stay till the end, because I would love to hear all your comments throughout this entire video. So with that said, let's get into it. So the funny part, which I thought was genius, and I don't think anyone really caught it because the audience didn't really laugh or anything. And I don't know if it was meant to be a punchline or not, or a joke, but she started her opening monologue. By the way, she wasn't even in the cold open, but I'll get into her skits in a little bit. But she started her opening monologue by saying, "Hello, it's me," like in her accent. And I thought that was interesting because if you know her song "Hello," that was her lead single off her last album, which was a blockbuster hit. That is the first sentence or line of the song. So I thought it was a good little sneaky way of getting her back in there, which is, I mean, that song to me is a genius song for her to come back to last time, because we hadn't seen her for so long, and to have the first line of the new song be "Hello, it's me," it's just like, it was just like going back home, right? And then in her opening monologue, she also confirmed that she is working on a new album. However, she said that it's not ready yet. So I don't know if that meant that she was supposed to have an album by now, and maybe because of the pandemic and everything, maybe they decided to delay it, or I'm not sure, because this is around the time, like fourth quarter holiday time, where she would normally, or at least her last album was released, and what a lot of these big artists, when they release their album. So I don't know kind of what the original plan was. Maybe it was supposed to be delayed all along. I don't know, but I have a feeling that it's coming next year. So that's kind of my next thing, is talking about the album. Some things I think it maybe happen. So I was thinking maybe she would have a surprise album come out yesterday, or announce a surprise album. But I think that appears to be out of the question, because she came out right out and said, "I'm working on a new album and it's not ready." And I think for an artist her caliber at this point and her track record, I don't think she needs to pull a Beyonce like Beyonce did with her self-titled album, where she just kind of dropped it out of nowhere, basically, because Adele's career is not in the place that Beyonce's was when she did that, because Beyonce was she wasn't doing bad, but she needed something to just take her to the next level, and I think that was what did it for her. So and now they're not really surprise albums because everyone's doing them, so it's kind of like the new norm. So I think for Adele, she, like in 2015, she resurrected basically the album sale that year. Like, she was the one that kind of saved album sales. I think she'll do it again somehow this time, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm thinking that the album will drop definitely by the end of 2021. And I think probably maybe around this time, maybe November-ish next year, if things start, as far as economically, things start getting back to normal quicker than we're anticipating. If not, then they could actually. But the thing with Adele, see, I go back and forth, because with Adele, she would be the album to drop if you are trying to save your company or try to get back on track economically or business-wise for her record label worldwide. And so she'd be the perfect person to drop an album like that. It could just completely blow up. Not to mention the landscape of music has changed even since her last album in 2015, regarding streaming and all the different ways you can consume music now. So I thought that would be an interesting thing too. But I think that would be kind of a desperate move, in my opinion, because with Adele, the reason she's so successful and so just everything is because she doesn't just drop albums every six months or every year. She only has 3 albums at this point. She's been around for 12 years, as she pointed out in her monologue. 12 years ago, she debuted on SNL, and that's what really sent her career to the next level. So That's my thoughts on the album. So I have another theory about like whole public relations part of this appearance and why it seems kind of random on the surface that she would be hosting SNL when she doesn't have a new album that she's promoting. She hasn't been out and about, and it's during the pandemic, and it's kind of weird timing. But I have an idea of why I think we've been seeing more of her lately, and really it's simple. It's to prime us for that big end goal, which is the album. So from the weight loss that she's been on, which by the way, she's her last album cycle, she was already kind of losing a little bit of weight from the previous one. So I don't know why people are freaking out that she just kept on that track. But as far as the weight loss thing goes, as long as she's happy and healthy, I think that's all that should really matter. Because I know when that picture came out of her from her birthday, I think, which actually was referenced in a sketch last night, people were like, "Oh, is she too skinny? Is she healthy? Is she not healthy? Blah 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 blah." It's like at this point in society, we know that the way you look doesn't necessarily indicate your health or your happiness. I think that we've learned that. I'm just going to say that. But to me, this is kind of giving us a taste of her, or getting her back on our radar, and it does indicate that I think we will have a similar rollout of this next album, whatever it's called. I have a feeling it's not going to be called a number like her last three albums, 19, 21, and 25, where she is very NBC-centric in the promotion of the album. And that's what kind of happened in 2015, which is what we learned, I believe, at the 2017 Grammys when she won all of her awards. And she was up on stage accepting Album of the Year, and she was thanking her people and thanking her, I think it was her manager or someone who was kind of orchestrating, is what she said, orchestrating the whole rollout of the album. And we know that most of her promotion here in the U.S. was related to NBC, from morning shows to like Ellen DeGeneres, who was on a lot of NBC channels, to late night, to a special. All these things were NBC and SNL centric. So I have a feeling we're going to be doing that again, and this appearance by her on SNL is an indication that that is true, because it was wildly successful last time. We'll see what happens this time. And that can also resurrect NBC as well, because they've been in a lot of hot water lately. So anyways, so like I said before, it's been 5 years since her last album at this point. So if we get an album in 2021, unless she was just kind of throwing us off and she is going to drop the album before the end of 2020, I don't know. But and considering she can't really do a lot of promotion of it traditionally, it wouldn't be out of the question really to drop the album, now that I'm thinking about it, drop the album before the end of this year, because she could just stay home and just do telecasting, whatever to promote the album. So that could be a possibility. And then, like I said before, holiday season is usually the time where I think she would, or the best time for her to drop her album, because it would be good, but that depends on the state of her record label and their business. And I think personally we need her back, and this is a really nice welcome, because her personality and her I think she has, maybe some people don't believe me or don't feel this way, but I think she's one of the most authentic artists out there. She just is her. You could tell on SNL that she was nervous. She was admitted she was nervous. She was kind of goofy, even during the sketches towards the end. If it allowed for it, you could see her kind of goofing off or whatever, or during commercial break or whatnot. So I think I'm happy that she looks different, but she is inside she's still the same person. I think that's really awesome. And then, like I said, I think I already touched on her NBC Blitz in 2015, which, like she mentioned, at the Grammys. And then as far as this episode of SNL, I thought it was really smart, really good for her, who was the musical guest, H.E.R. I think there's 3 dots, is entering kind of a new phase of her career. I like a lot of her music, but for her to have the stamp of approval from Adele, I don't know if it was planned. Like, it just happened to be that she was the musical guest while Adele was hosting, but I don't know if the host has any input on who gets to be musical guest, but that is a huge deal. And I mean, I like both of them, so I think that was really cool. And finally, we did get to hear Adele sing last night. Not in her monologue, which I think was smart, because that would have been the obvious thing, but they centered an entire skit around her being able to sing, and she was playing a Bachelor contestant in like a Bachelor spoof, and I thought that was really smart. And yeah, it was just really good. I thought it was actually, she was the best part of the whole show. And I'm hearing though that the ratings for SNL have been tanking. I know the premiere was a really high rated, and it was with Chris Rock, and it has dropped off a little bit, but apparently from what I've been reading, it is still off, or still higher than a year ago at this time. So, not saying that I think that they needed Adele to kind of boost their ratings, but I think they definitely are welcoming any big stars that want to come on the show and give it a try and see what happens. It doesn't appear that doesn't appear that the boost that they normally get from an election year is really working, because I do remember normally they would have, if I'm remembering correctly, they would have specials for the election, not just incorporate them into the normal Saturday episodes. So I'm not sure if they're going to do that again, or if they just scrapped it all because of the pandemic. I don't know. So we will see what happens going forward, but it's only a week and a half until election, or a week really, until election day. And that's the other thing I wanted to say before I wrap up. Adele was very smart for basically saying, I don't know anything about politics and I'm not getting involved, and it would not be smart for me to talk about it. Smartest thing she could do. Stay out of it. And so I was really happy about that. So I'm going to wrap up there. If you like what you saw here and you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure to do that below. If you're on Rumble, hit the punching bag above this video if you're on your phone, and hit the plus sign down below if you're on your computer. If you haven't subscribed on Rumble or YouTube, make sure to do that. If you're on YouTube, ring the bell, turn on post notifications, and comment anything you thought of note down below. And I would love to talk to you. All right, see you in the next one. Bye-bye.